पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 4, Appearance of Sri Narada. Text 25. Stri Shudra Dvija Bandhunam Trayina Shruti Gochara Karma Shreyasi Mudhanam Shreya Evam Bhavediha Iti Bharatamakyanam Kripaya Munina Kritam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaраvinda Bhakti Vedānta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Srila Sutta Goswami continued, out of compassion, the great sage thought it wise that this would enable men to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus, he compiled the great historical narration called the Mahabharata for women, laborers, and friends of the twice born. Purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. The friends of the twice born families are those who are born in the families of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, or the spiritually cultured families, but who themselves are not equal to their forefathers. Such descendants are not recognized as such for want of purificatory achievements. The purificatory activities begin even before the birth of a child, and the seed-giving reformatory process is called Garbhadana Samskara. One who has not undergone such Garbhadana Samskara or spiritual family planning is not accepted as being of an actual twice-born family. The Garbhadana Samskara is followed by other purificatory processes, out of which the sacred thread ceremony is one. This is performed at the time of spiritual initiation. After this particular samskara, one is rightly called twice born. One birth is calculated during the seed giving samskara, and the second birth is calculated at the time of spiritual initiation. One who has been able to undergo such important samskaras can be called a twice born, a bona fide twice born. If the father and the mother do not undertake the process of spiritual family planning and simply beget children out of passion only, their children are called Dvija Bandhus. These Dvija Bandhus are certainly not as intelligent as the children of the regular twice born families. The Dvija Bandhus are classified with the Shudras and the woman class, who are by nature less intelligent. The Shudras and the woman class do not have to undergo any samskara save and except the ceremony of marriage. The less intelligent classes of men, namely women, Shudras, and unqualified sons of the higher castes, are devoid of necessary qualifications to understand the purpose of the transcendental Vedas. For them, the Mahabharata was prepared. The purpose of the Mahabharata is to administer the purpose of the Vedas, and therefore within this Mahabharata, the summary Veda of Bhagavad Gita is placed. The less intelligent are more interested in stories than in philosophy, and therefore the philosophy of the Vedas in the form of the Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Lord Sri Krishna. Vyasadeva and Lord Krishna are both on the transcendental platform, and therefore they collaborated in doing good to the fallen souls of this age. The Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. It is the first book of spiritual values, as the Upanishads are. The Vedanta philosophy is the subject matter for study by the spiritual graduates. Only the postgraduate spiritual student can enter into the spiritual or devotional service of the Lord. It is a great science, and the great professor is the Lord Himself in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And persons who are empowered by Him can initiate others in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So we are continuing to hear to the answers given by Srila Sutta Goswami to the questions put forward by Shaunaka Rishi on behalf of all the sages of Naimisharanya. So yesterday we saw that when Vyasadeva sat down in meditation on the banks of river Saraswati, he could actually foresee the critical degrading situations of people in Kali Yuga. Therefore, he started contemplating on how to uh, bring about the ultimate welfare of the less intelligent, degraded population of Kali Yuga. So while he was thinking in this way, you know, uh, Narad Muni appears there. That will come in the future verses. But before that, Sutta Goswami is informing us about the compassionate nature of Srila Vyasadeva. So we saw that Sutta Goswami mentioned that out of compassion for the people of Kali Yuga, Vyasadeva divided the one single Veda into four, and then he assigned each Veda, Puranas, and Itihasas to different disciples, and through their disciplic succession, the knowledge was carried forward. And here in this shloka, Vyasadeva is talking, Sutta Goswami is talking about the reason why Vyasadeva composed the Mahabharata, the great epic. Here it is said, Stri Shudra Dvija Bandhunam Trayina Shruti Gochara. So, for the purpose of elevating the common people who are not very spiritually inclined towards understanding philosophy, but those who are very much interested and fascinated with stories and interesting narrations of various historical incidents, Vyasadeva, for the benefit of these three classes of people, that is, Stri, the woman class, Shudra, the labor class, and Dvija Bandhu. Dvija Bandhu means, Dvija means twice born. Dvija refers to the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas who have two births. The first birth is the biological birth that one achieves or one gets because of the father and mother. And the second birth is when a person is duly initiated by a bona fide spiritual master and he becomes eligible for the study of the Vedas. So that is the second birth. The first birth is the biological birth, the second birth is the spiritual birth. So when one has these two births, he is called a Dvija, twice born. Now, Dvija Bandhu means one who is born in the family of such twice born ancestors, but he himself has no such spiritual qualifications. Namesake Brahmanas, namesake Kshatriyas, and namesake Vaishyas, they are known as Dvija Bandhu. Right? So, for the welfare, for the benefit of these three categories of people who cannot study the Vedas, Prayina Shruti Gochara, they cannot understand the Shrutis, the scriptures. For them, Karma Shreyasi Mudhanam. Shreyasi means for the welfare, karma in their activities. Mudhanam, of the fools. They're all foolish people because they've got human form of life, but they don't take interest in studying the Vedas. And Vyasadeva did not want these people to be bereft of the Vedic knowledge. Therefore, for their benefit, Shreyaha, for their supreme benefit, evam bhavet iha iti, uh, for to achieve their benefit uh, in this world, uh, iha, by this, iti, thus thinking. So Vyasadeva was thinking about how to bring about the supreme welfare of these foolish people. Therefore, iti bharatam akhyanam kripaya munina krutam. Kripaya, by his compassion, by his great mercy, Muni, the great Vyasadeva, Kritam, he completed or he composed. What did he compose? Bharatam Akhyanam. Bharatam refers to Mahabharata, the great Mahabharata. Akhyanam means the historical facts. So, for the benefit of the Stri, Shudra, and Dvijabandhu category of people, since they cannot understand the Vedas, for their benefit, out of compassion, the great sage wanted to give them this knowledge of the Vedas in an interesting manner, and he composed the historical narration of the great epic of Mahabharata. And he said that by study of this Mahabharata, they would be able to achieve the ultimate goal of life. So that is the purpose. So initially, we saw Vyasadeva divided the one Veda into many, and then he handed over the responsibility of propagating the Vedas, Puranas, and Itihasas to his prominent disciples. There also, we saw it is because of the compassionate nature of Vyasadeva that he did this. Now, here also it is mentioned that Vyasadeva compiled the great epic Mahabharata because of his compassion towards the foolish people in Kali Yuga. So, the prominent quality of Vyasadeva is compassion. A person who is a teacher, a person who is actually interested in disseminating knowledge, the foremost quality such a person, such a teacher must have is compassion, mercy. One should not think that, so I'm so great, I'm so knowledgeable because I know everything, and all these people are foolish people, they are less intelligent classes of people, they are useless people. If that is the mood, then he is not fit to be called as an acharya or a teacher. An acharya or a real teacher is always very compassionate. Especially he shows more compassion on those who are spiritually disqualified or spiritually uninterested. Just like in a classroom, the teacher teaches the entire class, but when the teacher finds that there are students uh, who are late bloomers, I mean those who are little dull, they cannot grasp the concepts immediately. A good teacher will pay special attention to such uh, dull students, and he or she will try to spend a little more time with those dull students and present the same uh, subject in an easily understandable manner through examples, through case studies, and with special attention, isn't it? The teacher is teaching what is there in the syllabus to the whole class, but especially to the dull students, the teacher goes one more step ahead. Uh, the teacher spends personal time with such dull students, and through stories, anecdotes, and examples, case studies, the teacher tries to present the subject matter in an interesting and easily understandable manner to those dull students. Same thing Vyasadeva has done. First, he has compiled the Vedas, and for those who are not taking interest in the Vedas, what to do for them? For them, Vyasadeva has composed the Mahabharata. So the same conclusions of the Vedas are presented in the Mahabharata, but in a story format. And generally, everyone likes to hear stories, historical narrations. Therefore, Mahabharata is actually called Panchama Veda, the fifth Veda. And within this Mahabharata, Vyasadeva has very intelligently placed the Bhagavad Gita, which is also called as Gitopanishad. That means if somebody, out of curiosity to know the story one starts reading Mahabharata and the story is presented in such an interesting manner, gripping narration is there, and as one gets fascinated with the story of Mahabharata and one starts reading Mahabharata, he will also read the Bhagavad Gita, which is actually the essence of all the Vedas and Upanishads. So, this is a tactic uh, made by Vyasadeva so that everybody, even the less intelligent people, they also get the essence of knowledge through the conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna, that is Bhagavad Gita. So that is the plan of Vyasadeva. Now, here, one more important thing that we should note is Prabhupada is talking about purificatory processes called samskaras. It is said, Janmana jayate shudra samskarat bhave dvijaha. This is a Vedic statement. Janmana jayate shudra. By birth, everybody is a shudra. But samskarat bhave dvijaha. By proper samskaras, purificatory processes, one becomes a dvija. So, a purificatory process or samskara is that which helps everybody who has taken birth in this material world as a Shudra. By birth, everybody, by default, we are all Shudras. We have discussed this yesterday also. Shudra means one who lacks proper knowledge and maturity, and one who laments unnecessarily for anything and everything. He is called a Shudra. So by default, everybody in material world by birth is a Shudra. We simply keep hankering after material achievements, and we also lament when we don't achieve what we hanker after, or we also lament when we lose something which we have in our possession. These are the symptoms of a Shudra, a person who is in ignorance. So by default, everybody is a Shudra in the material world. But by samskaras, the Vedic process is how to elevate the ignorant masses to the platform of Dvija, twice born, so that one takes interest in studying the Vedas and achieving the ultimate perfection of human life. So, those processes which are recommended in the Vedas, which have to be followed, which helps a person to elevate himself to a spiritual platform, these processes are called samskaras. And there are prominently 16 samskaras called as Shodasha samskaras recommended in the Vedas for a civilized human society. And these samskaras begin much before a person's birth. So it begins with the Garbhadhana samskara. So Garbhadhana samskara means a purificatory process by which the husband and the wife both absorb themselves in spiritual thoughts, spiritual consciousness. When they, and then the mating between the husband and the wife happens. And so that, because what is the consciousness of the parents at the time of conception of the child, that determines and affects greatly the consciousness of the child. So if the child has to be spiritually interested, spiritually inclined, if the child has to take up devotional service after birth, then the parents have to do this. Prabhupada calls this as spiritual family planning. Spiritual family planning means both the husband and the wife, they consider that it is a seva to Krishna. We are going to be an instrument in bringing another soul to this material world. We are going to be that child's parents. So we have to first of all fix our mind on Krishna. We have to develop spiritual consciousness, and in that state of mind, in that state of consciousness, we have to give birth to the child. That means in the Vedic understanding, giving birth to a child is not simply an activity which has to be done under passion, under the influence of passion and sexual enjoyment. No, giving birth to a child is a sacred duty. It is a sacred activity. It is a service to the Lord. Therefore, one has to Parents have to maintain spiritual consciousness. That is why we read in the Vedic scriptures that whenever somebody wanted to get a child, they would always go and do tapasya. They would take up extreme tapasya, chant the holy names of the Lord for a long period of time. We see this in the Bhagavatam 10th canto. The Dharani Devi and Drona, they were they were actually Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj in their previous lives, in one of their previous lives. So they wanted the Supreme Lord to be their son. So what did they do? They actually went to the forest and performed extreme tapasya. And they constantly chanted the holy names of the Lord, fixed their mind on the Lord. And then the Lord blessed them that yes, in Dwapar Yuga, you will both get an opportunity, even though I'm not going to be born from your womb, but I shall be your child. So Krishna gave this benediction. We also see in the same 10th canto of Bhagavatam, the past lives of Devaki and Vasudeva are also described. Devaki and Vasudeva are so fortunate, the Supreme Lord personally appeared as their child. But why? Because they were great devotees, and in their past lives, they had performed extreme tapasya. So in the past life, they were Prishni and Sutapa. Prishni was Devaki. Prishni took birth as Devaki in Dwapar Yuga, and Sutapa took birth as Vasudeva. So both Prishni and Sutapa, they had performed extreme tapasya and fixed their mind on the Lord. And they did tapasya to please the Lord, to have the Lord as their child. And the Lord was extremely pleased with his tapasya, with their tapasya. And the Lord said, 3 times I'm going to appear as your child. So in the first lifetime, in Satya Yuga, the Lord appeared in the womb of Prishni, and he was known as Prishni Garbha. Prishni Garbha is one of the incarnations of the Supreme Lord. And then in the second incarnation, this Prishni and Sutapa, they were born as Prajapati Kashyapa and Mother Aditi. And Lord appeared as Vamana Deva as their child. And in their third appearance, the same 2 parents, they appeared as Devaki and Vasudeva, and Krishna himself appeared as their child. So, from all these descriptions, we understand that giving birth to a child is not simply a biological process. It is not simply an activity which has to be done to simply satisfy one's sexual urge out of passion. No, it is a great responsibility. So, unless the parents are spiritually conscious, they should not give birth to a child. This is the injunction of Lord Vrishabhadeva in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam. Jananina sasyat, pitarona sasyat. Lord Vrishabhadeva instructs. He says, one should not become a mother, one should not become a father if they are not able to guide their child on the path of spiritual advancement. So from all these statements and all these incidents, we understand that giving birth to a child, being an instrument in bringing a soul to this material world, is a matter of great spiritual responsibility. Nowadays, because of lack of spiritual training, parents are only thinking about material family planning. They're only thinking about, oh, if we have more children, because of increase in, because of increase in price of all commodities, because of financial crisis, we will not be able to provide a good standard of living to our children. We will not be educate our children in proper way. We will not be able to bring them up nicely. Therefore, let us have only one child. Let us have only 2 children. Like this, they plan. This is family planning. But they are not concerned about what will happen to the child's spiritual progress, spiritual goal. Because ultimately, the child is coming to this material world because of your desire. And now you have to facilitate the child's plan for liberation also. What will the child do? My child should not actually take birth again in this miserable material world. Can I train my child in that way? That should be the thinking of the parents. And this is called spiritual parenting or spiritual family planning, as Prabhupada is mentioning here in the purport. So for this, the samskara is called Garbhadhana samskara. So as we have discussed, this Garbhadhana samskara ensures that the parents are in a proper consciousness, in Krishna consciousness, during the time of conception of the child, and the same consciousness will be imbibed in the child who is entering the womb of the mother. So this is the spiritual family planning that Prabhupada is talking about in this purport. So unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, there is no such samskaras followed at all. Hmm? So because of this, there is no plan, there is no scope for the living entities, the human beings, to make spiritual advancement. And we see this in the third canto of Bhagavatam. At the wrong time, when Diti approaches Kashyapa for a child, for a son, Kashyapa Prajapati says, this is not the right time, and we are not in the right consciousness, and you are simply overpowered by envy towards your co-wives, and that is why you are wanting a powerful son. So this is not the right mood, this is not the right frame of mind to beget a child. Kashyapa Muni, again and again, he instructs his wife, but his wife is too passionate, and Kashyapa Muni could not resist that passion, so he gives in to that passion. And as a result of conceiving in the wrong, inauspicious moment, demoniac sons are born. Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu are born. This we understand from the third canto of Bhagavatam. So how Garbhadhana Samskara is so important, we understand from this. So in the wrong consciousness, in material consciousness, overcome by passion, pride, envy, if a parent, father or a mother, conceives a child, then the child is going to be demoniac, the child is going to be materialistic and not inclined towards spiritual life. So this is the responsibility of the parents. That means even before the child is born, the parents have to plan. This is what is mentioned here in this purport. So one more important thing that is mentioned here is the purpose of Mahabharata, as we have already discussed. Prabhupada is saying, Kripaya Munina Kritam. We saw this in the shloka. Kripaya Munina Kritam. Out of great compassion for the less intelligent class of people in this Kali Yuga, Vyasadeva composed Mahabharata. And Prabhupada is saying here, the purpose of the Mahabharata is to administer the purpose of the Vedas. And therefore, within this Mahabharata, the summary Veda of Bhagavad Gita is placed. So, as I mentioned, this is a planned tactic of Vyasadeva, that people will come to read Mahabharata because it has many interesting stories, it has political matters, it has many other things. But the reader, when he reads, he will also get the benefit of getting the essence of the Vedas by studying the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is the essence of Mahabharata, and that is the way Vyasadeva has made this. Now, one more important thing that we should also understand here is why are women, Shudras, Vaishyas, all of these people, why are they similarly categorized? So many people, when they read this kind of statements, they say that, oh, this is partiality towards women, So Stri Shudra Dvija Bandhu Nam Traina Shruti Gochara. Why it is mentioned like that? So Shruti Gochara means, Shruti means the Vedas. Now the Vedas are very intellectual subject matters, what is presented in the Vedas. Now that requires a certain kind of consciousness, certain kind of mind system, psychology, all that comes into play. So a woman's psychology and a man's psychology, they are not the same. Just like a woman's bodily construction and a man's bodily construction are also not the same. We may talk so much about equality, but we have to accept the fact that at the end of the day, a woman's body mind system is totally different from a body mind system of a man. Artificially, we should not try to equate the two. This is like going against the law of nature. It is not a fact that both are equal. Just because a woman is now in Kali Yuga dressing similar to a man, or a woman does all those work which a man is doing, it doesn't necessarily mean that the psychology and physiology of both men and women are the same. It's not the same. It's different. We have to accept that. So now when it comes to following the Vedic rituals, and especially which recommends tapasya, a woman's body is not suitable for extreme tapasya and hardships. That is the recommendation in the Vedas. A woman has to simply assist her husband in performance of austerities, tapasya, and yajnas. By simply assisting properly and remaining chaste and loyal to the husband, she gets all the benefit of performing the yajnas or all the rituals recommended in the Vedas. Even though she may not be personally doing it, she has to simply assist and help the husband. That is the idea. So, in mutual cooperation between the husband and wife, the Vedic rituals have to be practiced. So, therefore, there is no separate initiation into yajnas. There is no Brahminical thread, Gayatri thread initiation for woman recommended. Because woman, based on her psychology, based on her body mind system, it has been recommended that she simply has to assist the husband, and she will by default get all the benefits if she remains chaste and loyal and she assists the husband. Now, this is not called inequality. This is called equity. There are two concepts, equality and equity. Equality means giving equal opportunities to everybody. But equity means giving opportunities suitable for everybody so that everybody can make advancement. There is that famous picture, there are three people of three different heights and they are trying to see a cricket match across a fence, across a boundary. Now somebody comes and says, oh, you're all not able to reach and see. So I'm going to give you three platforms of equal heights. All three of you stand on that. So all three of them stand on the platforms, which are of equal heights. Now two people are able to see it. The tallest person was able to see it without the platform itself because he was very tall. The middle height person, he was able to not see before, but because of this one platform, his height got increased and he was able to see across the fence what is happening in the cricket ground. But the third person, who is the shortest of all, even though he stood on that platform, still his height was falling short. He was not able to see. So that means the platform did not serve the purpose. Whereas for the first person, the tallest person, even though he does not require the platform, he was still standing on it, but he was anyway able to see it without that platform. Now this is called equality. You give the same height platform to all the three people of three different heights, and you say now we are equal. Now I have given equal opportunity. But still the problem has not been solved. The shortest person is not able to see. Whereas equity means with the available resources, you manage in such a way that all the three are able to see properly the cricket match across the fence. So in this equity arrangement, the first person who is tall, who is anyway able to see because of his height, he is not given any platform to stand on. The second person is given one height, height X, and he's able to stand on that and he's able to see. Whereas the shortest person, he is given 2x. He's given two platforms to stand one above the other, so that finally he's able to see across the fence. He's able to see what is happening in the cricket ground. This is called equity. So equity, treating unequals equally is actually injustice. This is very important. In the name of equality, today what is happening? Chaos is happening in the society. So Vyasadeva, He did not think of equality, he thought of equity. He said, okay, there are some intellectual class of people by their samskaras, by their ability to undergo austerity. Yes, they can study the Vedas and they can understand the gist of it and they can attain perfection. But there are others who cannot do it. They are not spiritually inclined, nor they can take austerities. So for them, a separate arrangement has to be made. Let me present the same Vedic conclusions in the form of an interesting historical narration, Mahabharata. In this way, he composed the Mahabharata. So that is why it is said, Stri Shudra Dvija Bandhunam. For these people, uh, Vyasadeva specifically made the Mahabharata. So there is nothing like partiality or trying to put down one gender. That is not the idea at all. Because ultimately, why will a enlightened person like Vyasadeva do that? Because Vyasadeva is not an ordinary person, no? He is spiritually advanced. And the first lesson in spiritual knowledge is what? We are not the body, we are soul. Somebody is in the body of a man, somebody is in the body of a woman. But ultimately, each one is a soul. The main concern of Vyasadeva is how to get the soul out of the material entanglement. That is his concern. That can happen through Vedas for some people, that can happen through Mahabharata for somebody else. So that is the point that we have to understand. Okay, so let's go to the next shloka. Now, one more important point before going there to the next shloka. So Prabhupada is saying here, the Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. It is the first book of spiritual values, as the Upanishads are. The Vedānta philosophy is the subject matter for study by the spiritual graduates. Only the postgraduate spiritual student can enter into the spiritual or devotional service of the Lord. So, it is a great science, and the great professor is the Lord himself in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And persons who are empowered by him can initiate others in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, though Mahabharata is full of, uh, non-spiritual topics throughout. Mahabharata has psychology, Mahabharata has politics, Mahabharata has economics, Mahabharata has sociology. So many topics are there in Mahabharata. But very intelligently, Vyasadeva has also included the Bhagavad Gita, which introduces the reader to spiritual knowledge. Right? And Prabhupada says that Bhagavad Gita is the first book of spiritual values like the Upanishads. Whereas the Vedanta, which is actually presented in both Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, that is actually meant for spiritual graduates. So first one has to understand the basic knowledge presented in the Bhagavad Gita, then one will be able to understand the highest conclusions in the Vedanta, and then one can engage in the devotional service of the Lord as demonstrated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let's go to the next shloka, text 26. Evam pravrittasya sada bhutanam shreyasi dvijaha sarvatmakenapi yada natushyad hridayam tataha. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Suta Goswami continued, O twice born Brahmanas, still his mind was not satisfied, although he engaged himself in working for the total welfare of all people. Purport. Sri Vyasadeva was not satisfied with himself, although he had prepared literatures of Vedic value for the all-around welfare of the general mass of people. It was expected that he would be satisfied by all such activities, but ultimately he was not satisfied. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So here it is said, Evam pravrittasya. In this way he was engaged. Vyasadeva was engaged. Sada bhutanam shreyasi. He was always engaged in the welfare of all living entities, in the ultimate good of all living entities. Dvijaha, O sages, O twice born Brahmanas. So this is referring to the sages of Naimisharanya. Suta Goswami is telling. Sarvatma kenapi By all means, sarva atmaka enapi, by all means, yada, when, not, na, not, atushyat, tushyati means to be satisfied, atushyat means to become satisfied, hrudayam na atushyat, hrudayam, hrudayam refers to mind here, tataha, at that. So even though Vyasadeva, thinking for the welfare of all kinds of categories of people in this world, he was always thinking for everybody's welfare. That's why he compiled the Vedas, Upanishads, and composed the Mahabharata. Still, he was not satisfied. Now, that is something interesting. He has accommodated all categories of people. He has tried to reach out spiritual knowledge to different classes of people based on their different social positions, based on their psychological state of mind, state of being. Still, even after compiling Mahabharata, Vyasadeva was not satisfied. Hmm? It was expected that he would be satisfied, at least after composing Mahabharata, but still he was not satisfied. So Mahabharata is not ordinary, huh? As we have discussed. Mahatvat Bharavatvat Mahabharatam Uchyate. Mahabharata means, Maha means the great, and Bhara means it is heavy. So it is a great literature containing heavy philosophical conclusions. So it's not an ordinary book. If it has to be called as Panchama Veda, then you can just imagine its position. It's the fifth Veda. It is as good as the Vedas. So Vyasadeva should have become satisfied, isn't it? Now, Vedas I gave for the Brahmanas, Puranas and Mahabharata I gave for the less intelligent Dvijabandhus, Stri, Shudra, for all these people. So that means till the last person in the society, I have planned for everybody's spiritual advancement. So, so he should have been very satisfied, isn't it? But still, here it is said, Atushyat na atushyat hridayam. He was not satisfied from within. Now, this itself shows how much Vyasadeva is Krupana Vatsala, as we have discussed in yesterday's session. So, this one point is he's thinking something is missing, something is missing. Maybe I have not given the right thing, something which I was supposed to give. I have not done my duty completely. Vyasadeva is thinking, he is introspecting. So unless one is introspective, one cannot be an acharya. One cannot be a teacher of spiritual science. He's very, very deeply contemplating. We see this in Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, it is said, before he went to the West on the order of his spiritual master, he would go to Shantipur. Shantipur is a village near Kolkata, near Mayapur. And he would sit there in the house of Advaita Acharya, and for long hours he would sit there and he would meditate. He would be immersed in some deep contemplation. He was thinking. It was like he was preparing himself, mentally, spiritually. He was preparing. He was receiving. He was trying to receive the blessings of Advaita Acharya. He was trying to think, how am I going to present this message of Lord Chaitanya to the Western world? So Prabhupada was deeply absorbed in such thoughts. And sometimes Prabhupada would cry. He would say, he would think that my spiritual master has given me such a big responsibility, but I am not at all qualified. How will I impress upon these people about the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, about Krishna consciousness? So he's so so much immersed in thought process. So that also means to show that Prabhupada is teaching us, whenever we are assigned some duties, some spiritual responsibilities, it could be a simple thing like making some arrangements during a program. It could be a simple thing like planning prasadam distribution, or it could be organizing an entire program, planning so many things. So lot of thoughts, lot of thinking has to go in. It cannot be just done superficially. These are not simply some material tasks. Okay, task 1 is over, task 2 is over, task 3 is over. That is the minimum thing that somebody can do. But Krishna and Prabhupada will not be just happy if we become taskmasters. They will be interested what is our bhava. When you are doing all this, have you thought about it? Have you thought how important are these services, whether it is book distribution, whether it is Mandira Marjana, whether it is making calls and inviting devotees to our programs. You know, we may be doing so many, if these kind of preaching activities. All of us who are attending these sessions every day, as I had mentioned yesterday also, we are all part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. We are not just expected that we hear Bhagavatam, chant Hare Krishna and go back to Godhead. That's not the expectation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the acharyas in our Guru Parampara, including Srila Prabhupada. They are expecting us from us that not only we become fixed up in devotional service, but we should also extend this knowledge to more and more people, spread this Krishna consciousness to more and more suffering humanity. So all of us who are attending these sessions, there should be some preaching activity that we should all be engaged in. Otherwise, there is no simply saying, there is no meaning of saying that I am a devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has extended his mercy to us through his devotees, through his disciples, through the acharyas, through the devotees. That is why we are getting to hear Bhagavatam every day. We are getting to chant. We are getting to have the association of devotees. Now, it should not stop with us. The mercy should flow. And we should become an instrument in reaching out the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to more and more people. So all of us, if we do not engage in preaching activity, this hearing of philosophy every day becomes indigestible. Just like when you eat more, what happens? You get digestion issues, isn't it? Constipation. Simply eating, sitting in one place, or without any physical work, then we get into health problems. And in fact, simply eating only more and more, that is going to create more health problems for us, constipation and other things. So whatever we are hearing every day, we should actually go and convey this to others. It should not be with us only. Oh, I heard Bhagavatam. Oh, Bhagavatam is so nice. Prabhupada has explained so nicely. No, that's okay. Appreciation is okay, and you have to apply in your daily life. That is also important. But on top of that, you should also go and share this. Just 1 or 2 points with your friends, with your family members. Oh, today there's something new I got to know from today's Bhagavatam class. That is preaching. So unless we have this preaching zeal, we cannot receive the complete mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's a very, very important thing, because this preaching of Krishna consciousness is very, very dear to the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is the heart and soul of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, preaching. And if we want to receive full mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to preach as a seva. We should preach not because we know everything. We should preach not because now I'm well conversant, I'm realized soul. No. That's another misconception. We should preach for our purification. We should preach so that when we go to people and people don't take interest in what we are speaking, 2 things will happen. Our false ego will get crushed, number 1. Number 2, we will also be able to realize how fortunate we are. Look at these people who are all born in Kali Yuga, just like me. Even though I'm going to their place and trying to tell them something which is very important for them, they are so unfortunate, they are not even taking interest to hear. But I am so fortunate. I have received the mercy of Guru and Krishna. I have received the mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So even though I am born in Kali Yuga, I have got this some interest, some inclination to chant the holy names, to hear Bhagavatam. So I am so fortunate. Therefore, I should treasure this matchless gift of Krishna consciousness throughout my life. Whatever difficult circumstance may come, I should never compromise with my practice of Krishna consciousness, because it is so rare to become Krishna conscious. we will realize all these things. And also, when people reject us, when we try to go and distribute books, on the face, outrightly, people will say, "Get lost. I don't have time." Huh? So that time, it's like crushing our false ego, which makes us more humble. That's required. So unless we actually engage in preaching activity, we cannot become free from so many anarthas. Anarthas, if we want to become free and want to make genuine progress towards becoming a humble servant of Prabhupada and Krishna, we must go out and do some preaching. Right? Very, very important. Now, it could be just making calls. Today I have posted in my WhatsApp status asking, please help me. I need some devotees who can help me in making calls for our weekly programs. I need some help in making some PowerPoint presentations. We are having theaters. If anyone can help me in writing scripts for the dramas. So there's so much of preaching opportunities available, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So we should immediately grab such opportunities for our own purification. And then we can truly say that I am a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who is coming in the same parampara as Vyasadeva, who is Kripana Vatsala. I am the disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who is coming in the same parampara as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is so merciful, freely distributing love of Krishna to everybody. I am disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who took so much pain in his advanced age to go to the West, to save the suffering humanity, to deliver them this matchless gift of Krishna consciousness. So if we have to say like this, then at least some little seva we should do. It's not that I am okay, I will just go back to Godhead. I will chant and I will go back to God. No, then we have not really understood the spirit of this parampara. So very, very important. So Vyasadeva, even after composing Mahabharata, he was not satisfied. So let's see what happened next. Text 27. Nati prasida hridayaha saraswatyastate shuchau vitarkayan viviktastha idam chovacha dharmavit. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Suta Goswami continued, thus the sage, being dissatisfied at heart, at once began to reflect, because he knew the essence of religion, and he said within himself. Purport. The sage began to search out the cause of not being satisfied at heart. Perfection is never attained until one is satisfied at heart. This satisfaction of heart has to be searched out beyond matter. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedānta purport. Na ati prasidat. Na ati prasidat. Prasida means to be satisfied. Ati prasidat. Very much satisfied. Na ati prasidat. He was not very much satisfied. In fact, he was the first person in this material world, in this earthly planet, in this universe, to compose the longest poetry known to mankind. 1 lakh verses, Mahabharata. It's not a joke. 1 lakh verses. And every verse has to be, grammatically correct. It should also convey the right meaning without compromising with the basic tattva presented in the Vedas. And it has to also create interest in all categories of people. Materialistic people, it should be interesting for them also. It should be interesting for the great Paramahamsas, for the pure devotees also. So it's not ordinary to compose such a work as Mahabharata. But even after composing this kind of a work, Vyasadeva was na ati prasidat hridayaha. Within his heart, he was not at all very much satisfied. Saraswatya tate, on the banks of river Saraswati, Shuchau, after taking bath, after being purified, Vitarkayan. Vitarkayan means he was considering, he was thinking, contemplating. Viviktastaha, situated in a lonely place. This is one of the 20 items of knowledge Krishna mentions in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Vivikta Desha. it is said, Vivikta Desha Sevaha. I'm not able to get the exact Sanskrit, but it means to go to a lonely place, away from the association of materialistic people. That is a symptom of a person who is advanced in knowledge. So Viviktastaha means situated in a lonely place. Vyasadeva was sitting there and contemplating. Idam cha uvacha. He said to himself, who was Dharmavit. He was the one who knows what religion is. So he is Dharmavit, means he knew what is perfection of religion. So religion means different things to different people. For some people, religion means simply to perform rituals, to gain piety. For some people, religion means to perform rituals to gain popularity, to make a good public image about oneself. For some people, religion means to satisfy the mind. Some people say, no, I go to temple because it gives me peace of mind. For some people, religion means to satisfy the soul. I want my own self liberation. I want liberation. That is why I'm practicing religion. For very, very rare people, religion means to satisfy Krishna. So religion means different things to different people based on their development of consciousness. But Vyasadeva, he knew the perfection of religion. So he is Dharmavit. So he was dissatisfied even after composing Mahabharata. Therefore, he was sitting, reflecting on the banks of river Saraswati. He knew the essence of religion. Therefore, he said to himself. So Prabhupada is saying in the purport, perfection is never attained until one is satisfied at heart. And how to get this satisfaction of heart? Only when you go beyond matter. Only when you go beyond materialistic pleasures. Then only real satisfaction of the self, Yayatma Suprasidati, real satisfaction of the soul can happen only when you transcend the mental, when you transcend bodily, mental, emotional, intellectual platforms. Text 28 and 29. Dhrutavratena hi maya chandamsi guravognayah manita nirvyalikena grihitam chanushasanam bharata vyapadeshena hi amnayarthascha pradarshitah drishyate yatra dharmadi stri shudradi apyuta. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Vyasadeva is contemplating, he is thinking, and he is telling to himself these words. I have, under strict disciplinary vows, unpretentiously worshipped the Vedas, the spiritual master, and the altar of sacrifice. I have also abided by the rulings and have shown the import of disciplic succession through the explanation of the Mahabharata, by which even women, Shudras, and others, friends of the twice born, can see the path of religion. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. I'll take another 10 minutes. No one can understand the import of the Vedas without having undergone a strict disciplinary vow and disciplic succession. The Vedas, spiritual masters, and the sacrificial fire must be worshipped by the desiring candidate. All these intricacies of Vedic knowledge are systematically presented in the Mahabharata for the understanding of the woman class, the laborer class, and the unqualified members of the Brahmanas, Kshatriya, or Vaishya families. In this age, the Mahabharata is more essential than the original Vedas. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedānta purport. So, Vyasadeva is in deep contemplation. So he's thinking like this, Dhrita Vratena hi maya, Dhrita Vratena. So I have observed strict disciplinary vows that is recommended in the scriptures. Dhrita Vratena, I have taken up all kinds of vratas and I have strictly followed all those vows. Maya, by me. Chandamsi Guravo Agnayaha Manita Nirvyalikena. Three things I have always worshipped, Vyasadeva is saying. Chandamsi, number one, the Vedic hymns, the Vedic mantras. Second one, Guravaha, the spiritual masters. Number three, Agnayaha, the sacrificial fire. Manitaha, I have properly worshipped. Nirvyalikena, without pretense, without duplicity. Sincerely, I have applied myself to the worship of the Vedas, worship of the Guru, and worship of the Yajna, the fire, sacrificial fires. I have nicely worshipped. Grihitam cha anushasanam. Grihitam means I have accepted. Anushasanam, traditional discipline, I have accepted. That means I have lived a life of great discipline. I have not lived a life of sense gratification. I have lived a life of great discipline as per the injunctions of the scriptures. Bharata Vyapadeshena, and I have compiled this Mahabharata. Vyapadeshena means I have compiled Mahabharata. Amnaya Arthaha, which has Amnaya means the import of disciplic succession, the Vedas. Within this Mahabharata, I have presented the same conclusion of the Vedas. I have not deviated. Vyasadeva is thinking like this. So when you are not when you do something, when you do a work which you like very much, and before doing the work, you know the purpose for which you are doing that work. You are very clear about the purpose. But after completing that work, somewhere in the corner of your mind, in your heart, if you feel that, oh, what I kept in my mind before doing this work, before starting this work, I think I have not achieved that purpose. Something is lacking. Somewhere it must be wrong. Somewhere I would have missed the point. Like this, a sincere person always contemplates. A sincere person will never foolishly conclude that, oh, whatever work I have done is perfect. I have no mistakes. I have done fully, perfectly. No, he will never do that. Only a foolish person will say, whatever I have done is perfect, without defects, and it is the best thing that I could have done, and I have done my best. A person who is sincere will always think, I chanted, but I could have chanted better. I could have given more attention. I could have heard every mantra, every word in the mantra more sincerely. Tomorrow let me do better chanting than today. Yes, I heard Bhagavatam class, 1 hour I was there online, but I could have made more points, I could have made notes nicely, I could have paid more attention. Now these are the symptoms of a sincere devotee. A sincere devotee will always think what I can improve. Of course, it's not about self-doubting and feeling low about oneself. That is different. But a sincere devotee will think, maybe there are some more points I could have improved. So Vyasadeva is thinking like this. See, everywhere I followed everything. I worshipped the Vedas, the Guru, and the Agni. I have followed all the vows strictly. I have led a disciplined life. And in the Mahabharata, I have tried my best to, give the import of the parampara understanding of the Vedas. Pradarshitaha, properly I have explained. Drishyate, by what is necessary. Yatra, where. Dharma adihi, the path of religion. Stri Shudra adibihi api. Even for women, Shudras and Dvija Bandhus, as described in the previous verses. I have done my best. Is there anywhere which I have missed the point? Like that Vyasadeva is thinking. He's like a checklist. This I have done. I have followed all the vows unpretentiously. Then I worship the Veda, spiritual master and Agni. That also I have done. I have abided by the rulings of the parampara understanding. That also I have done. Then I have explained Mahabharata very nicely according to the standard conclusions of the Vedas. And by studying Mahabharata, even women and other classes, Shudras, can also understand and see the path of Dharma. All this I have done. The checklist he is putting is everything I have done. But still I am not satisfied. There must be something wrong, some main point I might have missed out. Hmm? That is the thinking of Vyasadeva. So Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport that if one want to understand the import of the Vedas, one has to lead a strict disciplinary life. So an easygoing life and advancement in spiritual life, both cannot go on hand in hand. Both cannot go together. Easygoing life means, oh, I want all comforts, everything should be very nice, as per my plan. And at the same time, so all my senses, everything should be satisfied. My desires should be, material desires should be fulfilled. And side by side, I should also make Krishna conscious advancement. No, that is not going to happen. It cannot happen. So we have to not become attached to bhoga and aishwarya. We should not be interested in material satisfaction or mental satisfaction. We should be interested whether Guru is satisfied or not, whether Krishna is satisfied or not. That should be our point. So for that we have to undergo austerity, we have to undergo disciplinary vows. Body and mind may not cooperate at some time, but we should always think that human life is not meant for. I have lived so many lifetimes in this material world trying to satisfy my body and mind, but see, I'm still stuck in the cycle of birth and death. This lifetime, satisfying Prabhupada and Krishna will be the primary aim of my life. And by their mercy, if I get some prasadam pleasure for my senses and for my body and mind, that I'll accept, provided it does not hinder my spiritual progress. This should be the determination of a devotee. So therefore, spiritual life means tapasya, austerity, voluntarily accepting mental and bodily inconveniences. So Prabhupada, so Vyasadeva is thinking in this way, contemplating. So it is the quality, it is a symptom of a great soul, symptom of a thoroughly honest person to do a self-check. A thoroughly honest person will never say that I am perfect, whatever I have done is perfect. He will never say that. He will always do a soul search. Where did I go wrong? Where can I improve? This is the mood of a devotee while rendering service to the Lord. So we'll see some more things that Vyasadeva is contemplating. There are some more verses where Vyasadeva is talking to himself. Where did I go wrong? Why am I not satisfied? Even after compiling the Vedas and composing Mahabharata. So, and what is the solution for that? All that we will see in the coming verses. So we'll close here. Any questions anyone has? Any questions or quick comments quickly before we close? Okay. Thank you very much. We'll close here. ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, विश्व गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Hare Krishna.